Greetings, lords and ladies of Westeros. We have returned once again for a brand new episode of House of the Dragon Season 3. This is, of course, Season 3, Episode 2. I hope y'all are ready for some hot D, because we are here to cover the episode, and as per usual, we'll be going into full spoilers, talking about various details from the episode, kind of giving our thoughts on it overall and initial reactions. And then, well, not really speculating, because we kind of already know what happens, because we, are familiar with Fire and Blood and have read it at least a couple times, but it's been a while. So, if we're not 100% accurate, we never claim to be fucking maesters and lore keepers here. So we're going off the dome memory-wise for the most part.
Yeah, and most of the time when we attempt to talk out our asses, we just say, hey, we're not 100% sure, but at least we're trying to keep it a buck,
Yeah. We'll tell you if we don't know. We won't pretend like everything we say is facts. Unlike the Maesters.
Yeah, we're not the gray rats. We are definitely not like the gray rats.
let's talk about the episode. So this is all the aftermath of the Battle at the Gullet and the official ascension of Queen Rhaenyra. So a lot of stuff happened. Of course, we get to see the aftermath of Jace's death and, of course, the Battle of the Gullet. Let's, I guess, quickly talk about Rhaena. Rhaena's in self-imposed exile because, nobody but Baela saw who Sheepstealer's rider is. And, of course, Baela's not going to be like, yeah, that was my sister, because she doesn't want her sister to die. But so she runs off to the Vale and pleads with Lady Jane Arryn for asylum, and she grants it to her because it's like, well, hey, now I've got my own dragon. Fuck it.
Yeah, technically, she didn't give the okay of exile, like asylum.
Yeah, it's more of a. It's more of, yeah, she didn't give the formal asylum, which is I can't really stop a dragon from living where it wants to live, so I guess whatever. That's basically what she said. But I don't want to see your face ever again.
The more that was implied was like, she was like, you cannot stay here.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not gonna directly endorse you, but I mean, if you happen to be here with your dragon, I'm not gonna stop you. And if you happen to also protect my lands in case I need you, more the better, but I'm not endorsing you officially. Because that would be a death sentence.
Yep.
Speaking of death sentences, we end up seeing the coup, and Alicent is actually good on her word. She, with the help of Helaena, gets the guards to disarm and open the gates to Rhaenyra and Daemon. Which I also like that Helaena actually gives kind of validity to it a little bit, because she doesn't lie. She kind of does it in her own Helaena way, because Helaena is very much an animal lover. We saw how much she likes playing with insects and other different animals, and she's like, I want no beast harmed, and it's like, yeah, no, that's in character.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's very much in character for her to hey, no hurting the animals. Because the dragons are just animals.
Yeah. They're
very destructive animals, but animals.
They're giant fire-breathing house cats.
Yep. With the temperament of a very, very pissed off hippopotamus.
Yeah. Especially Sheepstealer looks like a pissed off hippopotamus. Ugly bastard.
With the looks of a pug.
Yep. But yeah, so they storm through the castle, get to do all that shit. I love seeing them be all in sync. I mean, we skipped over it, so I guess I'll go back to it real quick. I do want to give a hats off to Emma Darcy for her performance in the beginning of the episode. Like,
Oh yeah.
with her whole
Yeah.
like, just kind of grief-stricken monologue talking to Jace's corpse. That was beautiful. Like, damn near Shakespearean level. Like, good stuff.
As you were saying that, we watched the end of episode
After
conversation
show.
with like
With all the like
that-
behind-the-scenes people. Yep.
yeah, and some of the actors and their perspectives on the episode.
Mhm.
And when one of the staff folks on the show was basically saying, "Oh, it's almost Shakespearean," Jay was like very happy to
Yeah.
the
Yeah, because I was like, yeah, I felt that. I definitely felt
game.
that.
And like, ooh, hey.
Yep, I felt seen. Felt seen. Like I was happy. I was like, that's definitely how I felt. It was a really, really good performance, and like this, I feel like this entire episode is, to borrow a phrase from Game of Thrones, this is like Rhaenyra's "you must kill the girl" moment, right? This is the truest point of no return.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, she was at war before, but now everything is real. She is here now. And now she's got to rule and prove that she is worthy. And that, like, this wasn't all just for naught. All this loss of life, all this destruction and chaos and grief and sadness and anger. It had to have been worth something. But was it really?
Mhm.
That's the question we'll be asking throughout the season, I feel. Like, that's definitely the question that the writers seem to pose towards the entire, this entire season, it feels like. Especially, like, when we even see Corlys and he kind of reflects on the battle and is like, this is a victory. I hope I never see another. Which, that was cool. I also liked, him fully claiming the Valerian brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Alan and Adam. That was dope.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we also see, just kind of jumping around all over the place, we also see Aegon and Laris's misadventures continue. The Triarchy pirates get stopped, and so they get to escape in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And back at King's Landing, we find out that Laris left a present. Laris left a present for Daemon and Rhaenyra. Old man Otto Hightower.
Old Otto was just hiding in the dungeons.
Yeah, just tossed in the black cells. And it's just like, well, damn. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. I was wondering where the fuck he was, but like it never really crossed my mind too much of like, where's Otto now?
Yeah, I was very curious.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we had a scene while Alicent was preparing for getting Rhaenyra over to King's Landing.
Yep.
That one motherfucker, the Master of Laws.
Yeah. I don't really care about his name. We don't need to remember his name. But yeah, he tried to assault her, but luckily the Grand Maester actually saved her life.
Yeah, Grand Maester Orwell.
Yep. Who was actually one of the authors of Fire and Blood.
Yeah. And I love that Daemon was about to like threaten him.
Yep.
And then the creepy motherfucker who's like
He was basically one of, like, to borrow a term from Varys, he was one of Laris's little birds, even though he's not a child.
Yeah. Wait, isn't Laris the spider?
No, Varys was the spider.
Varys was the spider.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Laris
weird...
was just Clubfoot. He was just
Yeah, Clubfoot with a weird like bee thing.
Yep. Yeah,
but anywho, point being, definitely one of Laris's men saying like, "Hey, I have something for you that you might like."
Yep.
And then one of my favorite scenes in the entire show actually happens where Rhaenyra, in a moment to prove that she can rule, and since she's never held a sword before, tries to execute Otto.
And
Doesn't happen the first time.
Yeah, she misses the first time, which is cool because like she was like Viserys taught her statecraft and like how to rule and all the logistical stuff, but like she never got any training with the Master of Arms like any of the other princes did.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she wouldn't know how to do it. You know what it also reminds me of, right? And I think this is obviously an intentional parallel. If you remember the first chapter of Game of Thrones and the first episode of Game of Thrones, what is the first thing that we see? Ned executing a man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like
taught all of the Stark boys a very valuable lesson in terms of deserters
and what it means to be a lord or a ruler.
Yep.
So like, I think this being Rhaenyra's first act as ruler is very symbolic. I like the poetry of this kind of moment.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, because rulership is not easy.
Yeah, and you can really see the shift in her, right? Like that and Condal talked about it in the after show. Like that shot where like her reflection is in that pool of Otto's blood. That was so cool.
Yeah, it was a brilliant shot.
And it's a reflection definitely of the house words, fire and blood. There's the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And
also the moment when she actually sits on the throne and she just locks in.
Yeah, you can seriously feel that shift in her, like as a person. That the child in her finally does just die, and like the woman is born, the queen is born.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of has this look, and again, we talked about while we were watching it, I actually really like the change of Rhaenyra and Alicent being childhood friends, because it adds more tension and adds more tragedy to the situation of like kind of like really having to sacrifice like everything that she once knew and held dear for this position that was kind of ordained to her, because Viserys saw the prophecy and all that, the whole Song of Ice and Fire deal. So like and Emma Darcy talked about it in the after show as well. It kind of starts to spark this like almost religious fanaticism in Rhaenyra of like, I am the one meant to rule. This is destiny. This is fate. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I am curious to see, like, I mean, obviously we know she doesn't kill Alicent right away, so I am curious to see what kind of role Alicent plays as Rhaenyra's prisoner, and like, I guess sort of in Rhaenyra's court, not in an official capacity, but she is someone who has Rhaenyra's ear in a way, because they do still have that, even though obviously it's frayed over all the, terrible actions from both sides. They still have that bond of friendship to them, and you can still see it there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting. We didn't talk about it too much, but we'll quickly touch on the fact that Aemon took Harrenhal and subsequently fell victim to its curse.
Yep. And also, I like that when Aemon goes to Harrenhal, he parallels his uncle.
Yeah, but
instead of breaking bread with the remaining Strongs, Aemon just kills them.
Yeah,
with old Simon.
It shows the difference, because like, Daemon is definitely a psycho too in his own right, but like, he also is more pragmatic. He knows when to put the psycho away, right? Whereas like, Aemon is mask off all the time.
Mm-hmm. Just horrifying.
Yep,
And also, his armor is dumb and it looks like elf armor.
it does. It's really stupid. So super try hard, but definitely reflects the fact that he's a try hard 16-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he spoiler alert, he's gonna become Eskimo brothers with the crazy witch lady. Or Eskimo brothers with his uncle, thanks to the crazy witch lady, because her weird witch magic also involves sex magic, because of course it does.
Yep, as it always is.
What other stuff we already talked about? We talked about Rhaena's exile. We talked about Rhaenyra's ascension. We talked about the coup. Nobody cares about Crispin. We don't need to talk about Crispin. She's just kind of there.
Yeah, old Crispy, cringe.
We do see in the preview that obviously, like, one of the big things that they'll have to deal with is the remaining claimants to the throne. Of course, Aegon, but you know, Darren, who was kind of just sent to live with the to foster with the Hightowers for a bit. He technically has a claim as well because he is a son of Viserys.
Yep.
So
he's the youngest one.
Yep.
And of course, the babies.
Yep. Helena's babies.
And also Nera's babies.
Yeah, Rhaenyra's babies.
Because one of them is Aegon the Third.
Oh yeah, Aegon the Third, right? The most well, I don't even know. He's like, do you think he or his uncle is the most traumatized Aegon of all time? I think he's the most traumatized Aegon of all time.
I mean, he is known as Aegon Dragonsbane for a reason.
Yep.
And he's also Mundo Depresso.
Yep. I mean, you know, we won't spoil too much for show-only people, but like, if you went through what this kid went through, you would be too.
Yeah. If you think modern-day depression is bad,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Right? I'm saying. But yeah, overall, fantastic episode. But like, the crazy thing is, this is only episode 2. We've got at least 8 more of these, or you know, fucking 5 more of these things. No, wait, nope, nope, not 5 more, 6 more, because there's 8.
Yeah, 6 more.
Yeah, we got 6 more of these things. So like, they are just like knocking it out of the park continuously with this one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, season 2 was a little bit lackluster in comparison to season 1, but season 3 picked the quality right back up.
Yeah, to be fair, season 1 was more of the setup to the events that we're getting.
Yeah, season 2 was more of the setup. Season 1 was all just like brand new stuff and like introduction to the characters. Season 2 was definitely a setup season. Yeah, this is the action. This is the actual. Yeah, this is the actual like meat on the bone for sure. But yeah,
and at least the staff of the show knows that they only have like one more season after this one.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad they have a plan and they're not just milking it until it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And since it's a relatively shorter story, they can actually get away with extending on some aspects. And when they add wholly original things that we never really seen before in Fire and Blood, they can actually make a lot of sense.
And you know, we talked about this when we covered the first season, but it makes sense because, like, you know, obviously Fire and Blood, yes, is, you know, the quote unquote source material, but it's also a history book, and it's a history book written by an entirely biased perspective. So like, the show is actual first-hand accounts, like from an actual like omniscient perspective of what really happened, you know? And I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Cause like now, like it doesn't have the same hang up that original GOT had, where like, you know, because they ran out of source material, they just didn't know what to fucking do. I think this is the right balance of having source material, but still being able to play outside the lines, as it were.
Yeah, and you can expand upon certain things that will happen eventually from the source material, but there's actually greater context that solves a bit of mysteries and fan theories that have been made because of what Fire and Blood presented to us.
Yeah.
Like the speculations of who was the girl that died with Daemon during his last battle at Harrenhal.
Yep.
Because it was one of the Dragon Riders.
Which I don't think it will exist in the show, because it looks like they're just using Rhaena. Because I think
the proxy of that particular character, yeah.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Targ incest does happen, but like father-daughter doesn't really strike me as a thing that's gonna go down. So, we'll see. But yeah, overall, great episode. Cannot wait for next week. Definitely excited to see the opening stages of Rhaenyra's rule and how that plays out. But let us know what you guys thought about the episode in the comments down below, as always. And don't forget to do all the usual YouTube things. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any more hot D coming your way, as well as our various other TV show episode reviews and long-form podcast episodes. But until next time, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.